Hello, Garland Nixon here, and Genocide Joe and his knuckle dragon goon squad are up to their old tricks. That's right. There is no place on this planet where they can't start a war, and this time it's Yemen. Let's talk. Well, you can pretty much bank on it that when Tony Blinken goes to Israel to say that they're not going to be expanding the war, that they're concerned with expansion, that they're going to expand the war and they're looking forward to expansion. It's obvious. I mean, let's face it. Tony Blinken has, as my dad would say, he told the truth he might have told the truth once, but he lied his way out of it, right? Tony Blinken is just an absolute liar. So that he goes over there, it is obvious. It is, and I suspected that what he went over to Israel was to say, oh, by the way, we're going to bomb Yemen and we're going to expand the war. And now, of course, what are they going to say to the American people? We're concerned about the war being expanded. We don't want the war to be expanded. What we're going to do is safe and effective. And we're going to attack Yemen in a safe and effective way. And then everything will be fine. We're just going to bomb Yemen. We're going to drop some nice, clean, friendly bombs because, we like to go by the rules. And then everything will be fine. But of course, he started off by absolutely lying to everyone. Go in there to make sure we don't expand this conflict. And of course, what happened? So apparently, in case you haven't been reading the news here, if you haven't been on Telegram or whatever, apparently, at some point this evening, there were Tomahawk missiles and airplanes, etc., launched, and they hit some spots in Yemen, right? They picked some targets and they bombed them. Here's the thing about it. These people never learn, right? They never learn. They attack Yemen. Yemen's been bombed since 2015. And the Yemeni said it. They said they bombed us since 2015. Yawn. Oh, we're getting bombed again. We got bombed every day by Saudi Arabia. Oh, by the way, just like Israel, they were flying American jets. They were shooting American missiles. They were dropping American bombs. They were running off American satellites for intel. We already know the game. And we didn't stop then. What makes you think we're going to stop now, right? So they've attacked Yemen, and it's the neocon, the idiot, lunacy, imperialist way of thinking, right? Here's what we're going to do. There's two things. We'll strike them, and then they'll learn. Number one. Number two, the other part of it has nothing to do with them, right? It is inside the Beltway talk. What do we have to do? This. This is the narcissistic way of thinking. We have to look strong. There is always a concern. I went over this in one of my previous videos with narcissists of how they look to other people. That's big with narcissists. How do we look to other people? And their thing is we got to look strong. Now, on the other side of the fence, Yemen's not trying to look strong. The Yemen fighters are not trying to look strong. They're not concerned with how they look to other people. They've made it clear. And that is, they feel that the Palestinians are their brethren. They feel that they're their Muslim brethren. They feel that they have a duty to the God that they believe in, the God that they worship, right? To fight on behalf of their brethren. And they're going to act based on that principle. Okay, they see a wrong being done, and they believe that a genocide is being committed, as do I. And their belief is that they need to do everything they possibly can, that they have a duty to, their belief is a duty to God, right, to do that. I think also there's this. This is the Middle East, where they have a culture, they have a way of life, right? They're a lot, people of Islam, but not everybody there is a Muslim. They have Druze, they have Christians, they have Jews, they have all kinds of people in the Middle East, all various religions. They're predominantly Muslim, but I think there's a feeling that this is our home. You got no right to come here and to start genociding people and to think that you run and control this area. If you do that, you're going to get a fight. And as I've said this before, I'm somewhat of I'm a journalist, I guess. I'm an activist, right? And if someone says, "Why do you do all that stuff? Do you do it for money?" Nah, I had a lot of offers in my life. I could make a lot more money than I ended up doing. You know, my mom had a company that was doing pretty damn well. And when I got in my 20s, I could have took it over if I wanted at a certain point in my life, but I had other things I wanted to do. So I ended up opting for, going in a different direction, doing what I want to do in life and living a middle class life. I'm happy with my life. Certainly, could I have probably had more if I'd have decided to go in that direction? Sure. But I did what I did because that's who I am. Here's what I'm getting at. The Houthis are doing what they do because that's who they are. They're not doing it because they are, have some ulterior motive. They're trying to show off to somebody. They're trying to look tough or look weak. They're fighting because they believe that it is their duty to fight. Right? Just you. No, I'm reading a book now. It's by General Giap. He was the general in Vietnam who, defeated the French and the Americans. And when he defeated the French, afterwards, he wrote a book, People's Army, People's War, People's Army. And it was about how they defeated the French. And when you read that book, what you quickly find out is this. All along, they considered it, they're like, this is our country. Vietnam is our country. You're coming to our country. And we are going to defend our country and we're going to liberate ourselves in our country. If I came to your house right now and said, I'm going to go in your house, I'm going to go in the refrigerator, I'm going to take your food, I'm going to eat your food, I'm going to slap your kids, I'm going to push your wife around, I'm going to do all these things in your home, you'd say, it's not my home. You can get a fight. Why? Because this is my home and I'm going to fight to protect my home, right? That's what people tend to do. And when you come to someone else's home, they're much more motivated than you. They have a greater motivation. Hey, I work for this house. I busted my behind for years. I redid the basement there. Those kids look like me. That's what the person's saying. You ain't coming in here and taking mine. You're not doing it. And if you do, you're gonna have to go through me, right? But you're not gonna scare me. You're not gonna puff yourself up. You better move or I'll fix you, or get one punch and wham, ow, that hurt. And now I'm just gonna walk away. No, you just started a fight. Now we're gonna dance. We're going to Knuckle Junction, right? That's the concept with the people in the Middle East. This is my home. You come from all the way across the planet and take what's mine, dominate what's mine, push me around. Ain't happening. Ain't happening. And if you think that you're going to bomb them, well, how these idiots, the neocons, will look at it. We've bombed them. We struck several targets. I'm sure that they will now see the error of their ways, and they'll call us and they'll say, now that you've struck numerous targets, we've decided that we no longer worship Allah and we're no longer going to stand up for our brother. That ain't happening. It ain't happening now. It ain't happening for the next generation, and it ain't happening for the generation after that. Right? Not happening. So now all you done was piss them off. Now, it will be interesting to see what happens because we're seeing some of the things I'm seeing online. Now, I've seen a couple of things. One of them says that I saw a report that there might have been an American fighter aircraft down on Yemen, a YF-22. I don't know about that. I've seen reports that American warships have been struck with Yemen missiles from Yemen cruise missiles. I'm not sure about that. Someone else is saying, I've seen something else that says the U.S. embassy was hit in Iraq. Not sure about that, but I suspect that more than one of those things are going to be true. Yeah, who is that saying that? E. Walker is reporting right now in the chat. E. Walker reports the U.S. embassy's been hit in Iraq. I saw that in somewhere on X that happened, and on Telegram that a U.S. warship was hit. So the bottom line is, I don't know, could be a number of warships hit. But here's the thing about it. I think from the people of Yemen have spoken, and here's what they said: if you attack us, then it's on. It ain't gonna be a one-time thing. It ain't like you're gonna throw a rock at us and we're gonna throw a rock back and then we'll all stop and sit back and look and see what's going on. If you want a war, you attack us. Once you attack us, you got a war in your hands. We're at war. And so if they are or have fired missiles at American ships, I don't think that's just going to stop. I don't think they're going to say, okay, we fired, we responded, and that's it. I think they're going to continue to fire at American ships. I think if they see somebody in range and they think they can get a good pock shot at them, I think they're going to take it. And now what does the U.S. do? Has the U.S. been dragged into a war by the genocidal maniacs? Because that's what it appears to be. Well, let me put it this way. Have genocidal maniacs been dragged into war by genocidal maniacs? I guess that doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? What's interesting is we have South Africa today standing up proudly, of all countries, South Africa, a country that, here's what's beautiful about them. South Africa was able to get past apartheid, and then they were able to have what they called something in reconciliation, right? Where rather than, oh, these white people treated us wrong and we're going to go string them up and kill them, those kind of things happen. You know, I'm sure you know about them. Those things happen where there's a dispute in a country, and when one side takes power, they want revenge on the other side and they go kill thousands of people on the other side. And what's beautiful about South Africa is the South Africans and Mandela and them said, we're not going to do that. We are not going to say, let's get revenge on these people. Because then our country just falls into civil war and craziness. What we're going to do, we're going to have a reconciliation thing, right? Truth and reconciliation. And we're going to try to figure out how peacefully to bring this country back into the world order, right? A part of a world order. And they're a very important part of a multipolar world order now. South Africa is a very important pole, shall we say. You know, look at where they are geographically. They got the whole Cape of Good Hope and the bottom of Africa and all of that stuff. Very important. They got a lot of important mines and all kinds of stuff. Huge country. So there's great potential in Africa. They're a major part of BRICS. So they're doing big stuff, and they stood up morally today, and they went to the International Court of Justice, and they made a brilliant case, and they really did well for themselves. I have to respect South Africa and the people there. They had their attorneys and et cetera. They were brilliant. They had an Irish attorney also there. So they really worked with the people, and it was a beautiful thing to see the people of South Africa well represented by their government morally, right? Now, here's what's interesting. Morally, during the day, the African people are in the International Court of Justice taking a moral stand, saying, hey, man, this is wrong, and we're standing against it. And before the damn sun can go down, these knuckle-dragging goons are bombing somebody else. Think about this. Biden, I'm getting like him. I can't even say a word. Biden, defensively, remember that? They told us defensively, they bombed Syria. Defensively. He wasn't in a week before he bombed Syria, right? It's defensively. Now, we are illegally occupying bases in Syria. So how the hell is it defensively? You know what? Let me say this. It makes as much sense as is Israel illegally occupying Palestine, illegally occupying Gaza, illegally occupying lands that they took in the 1967 military conflict, when clearly international law says if you acquire land during a military conflict, you can't keep it. At the end of the conflict, you must return it. They didn't return it, which means they're illegal occupiers. They're illegal occupying Gaza and saying we're defending ourselves. That's their argument. We're during an illegal occupation, we're defending ourselves. You don't have a right for self-defense in an illegal occupation. I can't come to your house, break in your house, hold you at gunpoint, kill a couple members of your family. Why'd you do that, Garland? I was defending myself. Here I am, minding my own business, sitting on his couch, drinking his beer, and he comes up and says, hey, you're drinking my beer. Well, I got to defend myself. What is he going to tell me? I can't drink beer now? You're in his house, and it's his beer. No, you can't drink beer. You have no right to defend yourself when you broke in his house and you're watching the game on his TV, sitting in his couch, drinking his beer. You have no right to defend yourself. Israel is illegally occupying Palestine in general, but particularly the Gaza Strip. They got no right to self-defense. It's illegal. Now, the U.S. is all the damn way across the planet in the Red Sea, And now we're defending international trade. What was it? What, excuse me, is that the Straits of Florida or something? Is that the Chesapeake Bay or something? How do we have the right or the duty to go all the way across the planet and then claim we're defending the shipping lanes? They ain't our shipping lanes. We have no right there. And might I add, Yemen is on the shore of the Red Sea. They actually have a legal claim under international law. They have some, at least, legal claims to the adjacent waters. Maybe not as much as they would want or think, but they got some. We got none. So we defensively, as we illegally occupy Syria, bomb the Syrians. Illegally, Biden, as we illegally occupy Iraq. Recently, last week, they bombed Iraq. And the Iraqis said, get out. The Iraqis said, we want you to leave. Can you leave quickly? And the U.S. is like, nah, we really ain't leaving because we are criminals. And, hey, you know what it is? It's this. No, why? Because you don't have the economic and military power to force us to leave. That's all it is. It's the law of the jungle. It's the knuckle dragon. We got bigger fangs and claws than you do. That's why the only reason, that's the rules-based international order. We are occupying Syria, and defensively, right? We have, defensively implies we have a right to defend our presence in Syria. Defensively, we have a right to defend our presence in Iraq. Under international law, we have no right to defend our presence in either one of them because both of us told us to get the hell out. However, the rules-based international order says that the U.S. owns the entire planet, and we can put a base anywhere we want to, and we can defend that base because nobody can tell us where we can be. And of course, what happened in Ukraine? We said we're going to be in Ukraine. And Russia said, well, look, you're on our border. You're threatening us. We need you to talk. The U.S. said, no, how dare you? This is our planet, and we'll be anywhere we want to, whenever we want. And the Russians said, right then, we'll just see how that works out. Right. And they go to Knuckle Junction. Putin basically said, let's dance. Hey, they sent a document in December of 2021. And it said, either we're going to talk about Ukraine or we will take military technical measures. In other words, what you going to do? Barbecue or mildew. Let's get this done. The Russians have already said we're going to get this done. And be quite frank, looks like they're getting it done. Now, and to a point now where the idiots in the Baltics are like, we've got to continue to support Ukraine because after they defeat Ukraine, which is fairly obvious that they will, they're coming after us. Well, there's desperation because the truth is, even if they came after you, you couldn't stop them because you have been demilitarized and you didn't have that much in the first place. But luckily for Europe, the Russians ain't coming after them. They should wish somebody would bomb them so they could get another Marshall Plan because Europe is toast. Anyway, let us continue. So old Joe Biden and his freaking goons, they bombed Syria. They bombed Iraq. Now it's Yemen. We're going to bomb Yemen. Here's the bottom line. What you have to understand. You didn't do anything. You bombed Yemen. You didn't do anything. Why would you bomb them? If it was just to retaliate, well, then that's just to make yourself feel good, right? We're going to, oh, you hit me, I'm going to hit you back. Is it going to accomplish anything? No. Is it going to deter them from doing anything? No. Are they going to stop or whatever because you bombed them? No, they're not. So what was the purpose of bombing them? The purpose of bombing them is because that's who these people are. They're warmongers, and that's what they do. They attack and they bomb and they war. That's all they do is war. More money for war. Now, guess what? I got bad news for you guys. They got another excuse to spend money on war. Cha-ching! The ATM is open for business. They're looking at Ukraine and they're like, hey, can we get another $60 billion for Ukraine? You notice that? How quick does this happen? Hey, Congress, can I possibly get another $60 billion for Ukraine? Nah, Ukraine's old. Who's even doing that anymore? Oh, but, well, we're giving money to Israel, but we don't really have our own war. Congress, please, can you give us $60 billion for Ukraine? Nope, sorry, that war's old. Oh, crap. What do you do? Tony, what do we do? We got to start another war? Good enough. Who? I don't know. Yemen. What the hell? Got it. Check. Call down to the Pentagon. We're bombing Yemen. The ATM's open for business again. Call Lockheed Martin and tell them to get prepared to receive money because they're going to be getting it because we got to buy stuff. Lots of stuff. Now, apparently, if what I'm reading is right, there's been some punchbacks. There has been punchbacks. And I think let's see what happens, because if they go after little old Yemen, and look, let's face it, who is Yemen armed by Iran? Of course, they're armed by Iran. Yes, and Iran has a right to arm any damn body they want to. If we can give $1 trillion worth of stuff to Ukraine, if we can arm Israel to the teeth, and right now we're loading them up with bombs so they can slaughter and genocide civilians, don't tell me that Iran can't arm Hezbollah and Hamas and Yemen. If you can arm your allies, they can arm their allies. The time when the U.S. could say, we're going to do this and nobody else in the world can do what we do, that ship had done sailed, brother. That dog don't hunt no more. Those days are over. Nobody's abiding by the rules-based international order anymore, Tony Blinken. Nobody's paying attention to you. They're going to do whatever it is they got to do. And I got to say this, we don't know yet, but if American ships are getting smacked by cruise missiles from Yemen, yeah, you probably don't want to fool with Iran, and you definitely don't want to fool with Russia and China. You know, they're like, yeah, we're going to build up all of this stuff in China, in the area of China. If you're getting punched around by Yemen, we don't know yet, but if you're getting punched around by Yemen, you probably just be better off not to screw with Russia and China, because they're going to sink everything you got in minutes. I mean, I don't know what kind of cruise missiles they got. They're probably decent cruise missiles, but here's the thing about it. It don't take much these days, because the technology for cruise missiles is so high that even a bad one's good, right? Even if they got an average bland, Amazon cruise missile. Hey, where'd you get that cruise missile? Well, we went on Amazon and we searched under cruise missiles. This one had the highest rating. It was on sale for $39. What are we going to do? We ordered 5 of them. Only problem we had was they couldn't deliver them till Wednesday, but hey, we paid the extra $5. We got our cruise missiles from Amazon. And what happened? We fired them in American ships, blew the hell out of them. Why? Because that's about all it takes now. It's not that American technology has changed that much. It's that missile technology has outgrown ship technology. Think about this. During World War II, they had to fire like a shell or something, right? They'd fire around and it would go in, and maybe it would hit the ship and maybe it wouldn't, right? They'd fire a torpedo, maybe it would hit the ship, maybe it would miss it. It wasn't easy, but you did the best you could do. Okay. Well, now technology is pretty good. I mean, I could strap my missile to a phone, probably strap my cell phone to a missile and probably program in the GPS coordinates from my phone and hit something within an inch. So how hard is it for them to take a missile, any country, and get some solid rocket fuel in there? It ain't got to go far, and put a simple GPS on there and light that sucker up. See you later. Downrange she goes. What's downrange? American and British ships. What's going to get hit? American and British ships. The problem is that the U.S. is still living at a time when you could project power using huge steel ships. In fact, before it was cannons on big wooden ships. And then along came steel ships, but they're big. But when there were cannonballs coming at you, it probably wasn't a good thing. It was tough. Now, the average schmuck's got a missile that'll run Mach 2. So now even Yemen, even dear little lowly Yemen, is firing missiles that are whistling in at Mach 2. And most likely not just one. Most likely not just one. So they probably got drones coming in at you at the same time. They got missiles whistling in at Mach 2, and you got to defend all of them. At some point, one of them gets through. Just one. And if one of those missiles gets through and smacked into the side of an American ship, and those are some big targets, there's going to be casualties. There's going to be damage. It wouldn't surprise me if a ship sank. So we'll see. We'll see. Mach 2 is twice. Somebody said, what is Mach 2? It's twice the speed of sound. Mach is the speed of sound. So Mach 2 is twice the speed of sound. I think the Russians, their hypersonic missile is Mach 9. I don't know. It's somewhere around 9 or 10,000 miles an hour or something. They are hypersonic missiles. They're not to be trifled with. Okay. I think their hypersonic missiles are, the various ones they have are between 9 and 14,000 miles an hour. Let me tell you something. If you can stop the Houthis from hitting you with a missile, you probably don't. Somebody says Mach 10 is 10 times the speed of sound. Exactly. That's all it is. So somebody put in there, Garland, according Telegram, one destroyer got sunk. Yeah. Well, here's what I'm going to say. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me, you know. There's nasty missiles out here, and if they hit you, man, you're going to have problems. Now, what's the U.S. going to do? Declare war on Yemen? What are they going to do? Or is now the U.S. going to be at some war where they're bombing Yemen night and day? You know, is that going to draw now? And what happens if Yemen says, okay, well, we'll fix you? Not only that, I guess the Red Sea's closed now. There's missiles whistling all over the Red Sea. See, here's the thing. I brought this up the other day. You got a dynamic where Yemen says ships can go through the Red Sea as long as they're not going to Israel. So ships are going through the Red Sea, back and forth. They're taking stuff from China. Now, China's done said, well, we ain't sending nothing else to Israel because we don't want to get our ships bombed. I think there's more to it than that. But that was what they claimed. And, you know, my understanding is the Chinese government is not real thrilled with Israel. But whatever the case, that was as good excuse as any. So China said, we're stopping shipping stuff to Israel because it's just too threatening for our ships. We don't want to do that, right? Okay. But there was still lots of commerce going through the Red Sea and the Suez Canal. Might I add, Egypt makes a lot of money from the Suez Canal, huge amount of money, and they're up to their ears in debt, right? So all this, and as I've shown you, let's do this again. Let's bring out the map. I don't think it is a good idea for me to talk about the Red Sea. For God's sake, without bringing up a map. There we go. Here's the Red Sea. All righty, let's look at the Red Sea. And let's talk about this. I got to always bring out a map. Okay, so what we got here, what we got here is a Red Sea, of course. So what we got here, again, I like a map. You can see up in the upper part of the screen, you've got, let me move it to the middle. Boom. There's Europe, right? Here's Europe, right? Here's the Mediterranean. And now, again, China, all of the places that stuff are made, Bangladesh, Myanmar, you know, they make a lot of stuff. Thailand, a lot of stuff is made here. That stuff then goes this way, and it hits, boom, the Bab el-Mandab Strait here, the Gulf of Aden. Here's Yemen. Yemen's right there. It goes up the Red Sea, right? And when it comes up the Red Sea, it can go this way. And Israel has one of their main ports, which is the port of Eilat. Boom, it's right here. Eilat. This is one of Israel's main ports, right? But they need the Red Sea to get there, coming from Asia. They can come through, things can come from Europe, but like everybody buys stuff from Asia now, right? Now here we got the Suez Canal, right? The Suez Canal, stuff comes from Asia, right? Boom, up the Red Sea, through the Suez Canal to Europe. Now the Red Sea is at war. And Yemen's right here in this skinny little part called the Bab el-Mandab Strait. That's it. Right? Bab el-Mandab Strait. Everybody's got to come through here. And, of course, Yemen's saying, nah, not if you're taking stuff to Israel. So what happens now is, where we are now is, you got real problems if you're Europe, because there's a war in the Red Sea. So all the stuff that comes from Asia, and coming from Asia now. And let me add this, for the foreseeable future. For the foreseeable future. Now, if we look at it, and I think it's important that we do that. Now, what the stuff has to do, can't go through the Red Sea, can it? It's coming from Asia. Can't come up here through the Red Sea. So what can it do? It's got to go around the Horn of Africa. Boom, it's got to go. So now it has to go. Leave here, around the Horn of Africa, up the Horn of Africa. Boom, comes in the Mediterranean here, right? And then it can get all your stuff to Europe, okay? And places beyond. But now look at that. You got to go all the way around Africa. My understanding is that is somewhere around 13 days. Now, having known, as I said, a little bit about these ships, a lot of these ships burn 130, 150,000 gallons a day. Do you think the price of oil is about to go up dramatically if there's a war in the Middle East that closes the Red Sea? Yes, it is. So now what happens? 135 to 130 to 150,000 gallons a day for 13 days. And you're going to be paying, they burn oil called bunker C. You're going to be paying a whole lot more for good old bunker C oil to run this ship than you were before. So you're going to have massive price increases in oil. And they're going to have to go additional 13 days to get Europe. If you're in Europe, it's bad enough. I mean, I feel sorry for you. If you're in Europe, you got Rishi Sunak or Olaf Scholz or one of these other schmutzes running things, right? I mean, you're already screwed. Let's face it, if you're in Europe. I mean, look at the quality of leadership you got, right? Look, don't think I'm standing up bragging. We got Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. You can't get any worse. But you guys got Olaf Scholz and Sunak and the rest of these schlumps, right? Anyway, so the bottom line is this. Let's just say I suspect that thanks to the brilliance of Rishi Sunak and Joe Biden and these goons who have decided that they're going to show strength against Europe, against Yemen, they're going to stand up to Yemen. I suspect that as a result of that, your economy is done. Your ass is grass, and the Yemen army is going to be the lawnmower. Because, I mean, the war in Red Sea, that means a lot of oil comes through there. The price of oil is going to go up, but not just the price of oil, the price of everything. It's going to go up dramatically. It's going to take a lot longer to get there. And think about this. When that oil comes out of look at it this way. Let's look at this. There's another thing you got to look at too. If you're Europe, Europe is so screwed. You can thank our boy Rishi Sunak for that. Let's look at something else. And this is critical. You got to understand this. So here's Saudi Arabia, right? So you want to get your oil from Saudi Arabia, don't you? Well, most of that stuff comes out of right here. It comes in the Persian Gulf. Here we got the Persian Gulf. And who controls the Persian Gulf? Oh, I think it is Iran, because this is called the Straits of Hormuz. And Iran controls the Straits of Hormuz here, right? Okay. You got Dubai, you've got the UAE, right? There's the UAE. Their oil comes through the Straits of Hormuz. Qatar, their oil, their gas, all that stuff comes through the Straits of Hormuz. What's this? Bahrain. What's this? Saudi Arabia. Oh, let's go up here. What's this? Kuwait, right? All of the oil out of all of these have to go through the Straits of Hormuz. But when it comes out of the Straits of Hormuz, if it's going to Europe, that's pretty simple, right? Comes out of the Straits of Hormuz, right? Then it goes right around here, then it goes up the Bab and right past Yemen. And oh, darn, that's right. It can't go up the Red Sea now. A nice short little trek right out of Qatar and Kuwait and every place, right around the corner and straight past Yemen. And off it goes to Europe. But now, when it comes out, there we go. See that little red? That's that little red dot, right? It's got to go right up past there through the Suez Canal and into Europe, but not anymore, is it? Now, when it comes out of here, it's got to go down. Here's Madagascar, around here, around Africa, back up here, back up here. Now, probably 2.5 weeks minimum. Extra 2 weeks. So now the oil and the gas from Qatar and all of that stuff, now all of that stuff has to bypass the Red Sea. Oh, man. They have really stepped in it now. Now, if Yemen is just like, okay, well, it's a one-time thing. You bombed us. We're going to chill out. Go ahead. Fine. Yemen ain't doing that. They're not going to do that. See, you got to understand resistance, right? when the history of resistance fighters, of revolutionary fighters who are fighting against some government that is, occupying their country and wearing them down and taking their stuff. Resistance, if you read about the resistance fighters, here's what they say: 1,000 battles will turn 1,000 battles into one victory, right? What they know is this: you got ships and planes and troops. So we can't just go confront you right up. We can't just confront you, right? We can't say, there's the front. It's right there. We're going to go to the front. Then there's a line, the line of contact, like they have in Ukraine. There's a line of contact. There's Russians on this side and there's Ukrainians on the other side. There's a line and they fire back and forth and blah, 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 right? And somebody wins. That's traditional armies. But if you're kind of a small ragtag revolutionary army and the other guy's big enough to have a line of contact, but you're not, the line of contact is wherever the enemy is. See, that's what they say: wherever the enemy is, that's where the front is. If we find some, and what they want to look for is, if you read, as I said, I've been reading General Giap's book about how they defeated the French in Vietnam. What they said is this: here's what we want to do. We'll find a dozen French soldiers wandering somewhere. We're going to take all of them out, and then we're going to run back in the jungle. We want to find a platoon over there. We're going to take them out. We're going to they're going to come and they're going to find a platoon of French soldiers wiped out, and nothing but some footprints gone back in the jungle. We'll come out of the jungle like the tiger. We'll strike them and go back in the jungle, right? Hit them here, hit them there. So now what happens? Oh, Baghdad, you got a nice embassy sitting over there, huh? Wham! Oh yeah, you got some Syrian bases, some bases here, bases there. We'll smack this one and run. We'll tap this one and run. We'll hit this one and run. They're not going to, and Yemen is just going to, here's the bottom to Yemen. Bottom line, they're just going to fight. And if Yemen really wanted to really get ugly, and the Saudis can thank God, first of all, the Saudis can thank the Chinese, because the Chinese and the Russians, because the Chinese brokered a peace deal between the Iranians and the Saudis, right? They also, the Russians were in part of that. And the Russians and the Chinese brought the Saudis into BRICS and Iran into BRICS. So the Saudis, it's less likely, not off the table, but it's less likely that the Houthis will strike the Saudis. In fact, I think there's probably some kind of a deal that's been made with Saudi Arabia. Hey, we won't do this or that, or we won't go in this direction or whatever, if you don't knock the hell out of our oil. Because the Saudis have the ability, the Yemen has the ability, they've shown they have the ability to strike oil infrastructure in Saudi Arabia and in the United Arab Emirates. And what the Yemen military has the ability to do with their drones and cruise missiles is to hit the infrastructure, the oil infrastructure that sends oil to the U.S. and to the market, to the EU, etc., and to disrupt the oil market internationally and screw the West over. How my back's hurting. This what do you call it? I got a pinched nerve and I'm still struggling with that. I'm just starting to get back to a little bit of exercise today, but still getting past this pinched nerve. That's no fun. Anyway, somebody says Iran say no Saudi Arabia oil. So bottom line, I don't think Yemen's going to hit the Saudi oil fields, because I still think that even though Saudi Arabia can be a little too close to the U.S., it's finding a way to drift away. And I don't think that Yemen, I don't think that any of the Muslim nations, as they're coming together, as they're building more of a coalition, I don't think they want to break that up. And I think that Yemen is going to basically say, as long as there's American ships in the Red Sea, we're going to bang them. We're going to shoot at them. We're going to fire missiles at them. And I think what you're going to have to see is the U.S. move some of their ships out of the Red Sea. While I'm here, I'm going to look on Twitter. I'm looking at Red Sea. Let me see if I got anything popping up. I don't see anything other than I'm going to see if let me see. I'm going to check for U.S. ships struck. Missile. 26 separate missile attacks on commercial ships. I'm wondering how long U.S. can sustain defensive postures in the Red Sea because the cost of intercepting those missiles was enormous. Yeah, so the bottom line is that's the other part of it. What does Yemen's missile inventory and drone inventory look like? Because if they can keep sending drones, and drones are cheap, and the U.S. has to use missiles to stop them, then we'll probably run out of missiles, with $2 million missiles, before they run out of $2,000 drones. I'm seeing something. A couple of things. It says U.S. Embassy in Iraq bombed. Report per Jerusalem Post. We don't know what that means at this point. Bombed could mean a couple of drones hit. Bomb could mean huge missiles with somebody killed. Al Mayadeen says Israeli media announced U.S. ship struck by missile. Yemen de facto leader Al Houthi says Red Sea attacks won't stop until Israel's war in Gaza ends. Anything else? I'm seeing I don't see anything else right now. Not a whole lot. Well, I'll check out Mayadeen and see. They're usually pretty good. Okay. U.S. carries out aggressive. Here we got Saudi Foreign Ministry. The kingdom is closely monitoring the military operations taking place in the Red Sea region and the airstrikes that targeted locations in Yemen. That's what we got from Al Mayadeen. We've also got Deputy Head of the Ansar Allah Media Authority, Nasser al-Dinmar. Quote, any Yemen response to the aggression will be officially announced by the Yemen Armed Forces. UK Prime Minister Sunak confirmed. So we know that there's been hit. Right now, the question is, has anything been hit? I'm going to take a look on Telegram since we're all on now and this thing's ongoing. Let me open Telegram. Unfortunately, I can't share Telegram with you all, but I'm going to look at it and see what I can come up with. Let me see what we got. DD Politics is usually pretty good. Let's see what we got here. Saudi. I don't see. Oh, Al Jazeera quoting senior U.S. officials. Iran is a major supporter of the Houthis and is involved in the Red Sea attacks by providing information. The Pentagon denied to RIA Novosti reports that a warship at the U.S. embassy were in Iraq were attacked. Let's see. Member of the political bureau for Ansar Allah says America and Britain made a mistake in waging the war in Yemen and did not benefit from their previous experiences. America and Britain will soon realize that the direct aggression against Yemen was the greatest foolishness in their history. So that's where we are. That's where we are, brothers and sisters. The U.S. has done that. Now, what I want to see next is, let me check one other thing too before we go, and that is oil prices. If we're seeing anything on oil prices, a spike in oil prices, that's the next thing to look. Oil prices. We got to look and see if there's anything there. Nothing yet on oil prices. We'll keep an eye on that tomorrow morning when the markets open. What happens? I suspect there will be oil prices. You can look for a spike in inflation. Could be bad, could be ugly, depending on how the direction this thing goes. Certainly, it appears that the U.S. is striking Yemen. There's neocons saying strike Iran, but I think they do understand that to go to war with Iran, full war with Iran, the likelihood is that Iran is such a powerful military figure in that region that it would be deadly for the U.S. I don't know that the U.S. could even win that in that region because, man, I put it like this. You'd have to redefine the word win, because Iran, if they chose, their response could be devastating. They could respond with some level of restraint, but if Iran felt that they're, were being fully threatened and with decapitation strikes, and they needed to do everything they could sink American ships, they could flatten every base, everything. They could in one series of missile strikes, decapitate the United States out of the Middle East. They could decapitate. They could launch decapitating military strikes, conventional strikes on the U.S. and the Middle East. It wouldn't be no way around it, because what are you going to do? Rebuild all the bases, rebuild everything? So ships gone, etc. So they're playing a dangerous game here. I think what's interesting, if you really think about this. I think what the neocons have done is first of all, if they go after Hezbollah's powerful. Hezbollah has a lot of fighters, a lot of nasty missiles. Hezbollah is powerful. If they decide to go after Hezbollah and all out war with Hezbollah, in minutes, Hezbollah could wipe out every base that Israel has. They could say, okay, that's it for Israel's military. Your bases are all gone. And I'm sure they're all targeted, and we're just going to flatten them all. So what are you going to do? So if they went after Hezbollah, Hezbollah is a powerful military group, so they can really get hit hard. If they were going after Iran, we don't even have to go there, because Iran is you fight Iran, you attack Iran. Now you've attacked Hezbollah, you've attacked everything in Iraq, all the PMUs in Iraq, you've attacked all of it, buddy. You go after Iran and they can come at you from all directions. Where can you hide your ships if you go after Iran? And if you go after Iran, there ain't no guarantee that Russia and China aren't going to say, okay, well, I guess you guys have lost your mind and we're next. Let's do this now. And as you probably know, if you've been paying attention, when the U.S. brought all of these, this armada of ships to the Middle East, the Russians started flying MiG-31s over the Black Sea with Kinzhal missiles loaded to the teeth, armed to the teeth. And that was a brushback move by the Russians. It was, look, ain't nothing you can do to stop these missiles. We got troops in Syria. So if you decide you want to get froggy in Syria, there's nothing you can do. And they're aimed at carriers. No, they're not aimed at a tender. They're not aimed at a tugboat. They're not aimed at a speedboat. Every one of them is locked in on carriers. And every one of those things that fires is going to put a carrier out of business, probably for good. So if you try us, you're going to lose carriers. And see, right now, if you think about it, here's what's important now, and this is probably another reason that this is a really stupid move by the neocons. So they're running around with all these World War II vintage ships, right? These gigantic targets that'll just missile attractants, right? Okay. But there's people that are still scared of them. There's people still looking, saying, oh my God, they've got all these ships. They've got an armada. They can do all of this stuff, right? But now you're exposing them. What happens if the Houthis do hit them? What happens if you do go to war with somebody and they do take your ships out? And it's a small actor. It's not Russia, it's China, right? It's Hezbollah, whoever, and they just knock the crap out of your ships. At that point, the argument that you can defend Taiwan from China is out the window. The argument that you can go around the world and say to any country, we can defend you, we can look out for you, we're powerful. What are you going to do? We'll send our Navy ships. How'd that work out in the Middle East? Friggin' Yemen sank them. Dude, get out of here. You're not scaring anybody. You're not projecting power. Because what are those ships? What is the Navy? It's about projecting military power. It's about the empire projecting its military power, right? So what do you have now? If the ships start getting struck, you're not projecting power anymore. You're projecting weakness, because you're putting targets out, and you're going to put these ships out. And if something stops, you got to get them the hell out of the harm's way. So how threatening are they? Is if as soon as something kicks off, you got to get them out of missile range. And if it's Kinzhal missiles, missile range is like 2,000 kilometers. And because a MiG-31 can already fly 1,000 or two, if they take the MiG to a pretty good distance before they fire it, it's some hella long ranges for those missiles. If you add the plane that's carrying it, how long the range of the plane that's carrying it and the range of the missile, and you put those two things together, you got to go a long ways away. You got basically keep them in Norfolk. That's all I can say. Keep them in Norfolk. Meanwhile, As we know, the Russians have the Yasin class subs, and they got everything on there. They got hypersonic missiles. They got all kinds of crap on there that's nasty. So the bottom line is this. Here's my point. My point is, right now, the U.S. military is in danger of exposing its weakness. Power is only power until you use it. Then it becomes force, right? Once they use force, the intimidation factor of all these giant ships is gone, and people will be sitting there like this with a pencil and paper. Okay, what's going on with the ships? Your adversaries, your peer nations will be looking. Once you engage with somebody, they're going to start taking notes. All right, American ship sailed up the Red Sea, smacked in the side by a missile with Yemen, and sunk the bloody hellets in Davy Jones' locker. This is an easy one. Hey, guys. If American ship comes around, just fire a missile or two straight to the bottom. That ain't going to take a long time to write that. Take that note. That's not complicated intelligence, is it? And to be quite frank, whether those in Yemen have sunk an American ship or not is irrelevant. Everybody knows the deal now, man. Everybody knows what time it is. Let's look one more time. Let's see before I go. Let's look on Telegram. Do we have anything different? I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything. No. So I'm not seeing anything new on Telegram. I'm not seeing anything new on X. So I think we are where we are. I think I'm going to go to bed. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to have Jody Barr's dad. He's a brilliant businessman. He's written a lot of books, and we're playing 9 a.m. We're planning on talking about Zionism and war, and I think we got something to talk about, Zionism and war. Meanwhile, get a good night's sleep. If you got a gas tank, you might want to fill it up. Might be a little more expensive tomorrow, but we'll see where this thing goes. I mean, we knew when we saw Biden and Newland and the rest of these neocon sociopathic goons in office that their foreign policy would surely end in disaster. But now, their plans to here's what we're seeing. Their plans to take on Russia and China, and they end up taking on Yemen. They will be exposed in the Middle East, because I'm gonna tell you one thing right now, and what I understand in my studying of revolution and resistance against these powers like this. The key to winning a war, if you're Yemen, if you're the Middle East, if you're Vietnam, if you're whoever, and you've been attacked by a power like the U.S., one of the colonial powers, you know what the key to winning is? I've said this time and again. If time is your greatest asset, use time. What the General Giap in Vietnam said over and over again is, the way we could win, and we knew it all along, is a long war. But he said something else. He said a people's war, where every village, you'd hide guns. The villagers would help. The villagers would give you intel. The people in the area who were rice farming would give you intel. Everywhere you go, everybody, your eyes and ears, wherever you come in, what's happening? The Americans are going this way. They're doing that. They're blah, 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 right? Thanks. See you later. Can you help us out here? Take some rice. Take some food with you. Good luck. Keep fighting the Americans. Thanks. See you later. So when you have a people's war, a regional war, or a national war, everybody's working together to oust the invader. I think that's what we're seeing in the Middle East. It's growing more into a civilizational war. A regional war kind of implies a bunch of countries are fighting each other. That ain't the case. The United States and their imperial military outpost got the crap knocked out of it, and now it's trying to recover, which it can't. And the U.S. has got egg all over its face worldwide, and Israel is exposed for the friggin' maniacs that they are. But the U.S. tried to come to their aid. No dice, no luck. Israel, I don't know if you've been paying attention. Israel's losing. They're losing this in every way, shape, and form, because the only thing they've been able to do is kill a lot of civilians. And who can't do that if you're a military? Civilians can't defend themselves. Exactly as Scott Ritter said, they're going into the rubble. And I'm on Telegram every day, and I'm seeing members of the resistance, members of the Al-Quds, Qassam brigades, PIJ, was it Palestinian Islamic Jihad, all of these other groups. I'm watching these people. They're firing out of windows at them. They're running up to their tanks. They're throwing satchel charges, blowing them to hell. They're spraying them with machine guns. They're hiding in the rubble. You ain't going to win a rubble fight. They drew you in that. They sucked you in that. Why? Because every little area is another little battle. 1,000 battle, small victories turn into one victory. And what we're seeing now is the Israelis are getting run out. And the Israelis are like, we're going to go take this to Lebanon and fight Hezbollah. Oh, man, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Now, they can do that if they want to, if they're stupid enough to go toe-to-toe with Hezbollah, but they're going to get their butts kicked. And what are they going to do now? The Americans are going to come in and get some more ships smacked with missiles by Hezbollah, get some more get some planes shot down by Hezbollah, and Israel loses anyway because we don't have the boots to put on the ground. Disaster. So now, if they go after Hezbollah, you've got Syria, you've got Iraq, you've got the West Bank, you've got Gaza, you've got Lebanon, you've got Yemen, you've got a 6 or 7 front war. Why? Because when people talk about the fronts, what's this 5 front, 2 front, 3 front, 4 front war? In studying resistance movements, here's what they say: wherever the enemy is, that's where the front is. So I put it to you like this: to the Israelis and to the United States, there's fronts. It's Syria, it's Iraq. To the people that live in that region, this is our home, and you've come into our home. There ain't no fronts. You're here, and you don't belong here. Go home, Yankee. And if you don't, we'll shoot you from behind. We'll shoot you from the side. We'll shoot you from the front. We'll shoot you from the back. We'll throw sand in your eyes and kick you in the groin when you ain't looking. We'll bite you. We'll scratch you. We will throw a scorpion in your sleeping bag. Anything we can do to get you, we're going to do it, because this is our home. And I think that's what we're looking at. Let's see. I think that's it. All right. Well, I have time. So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to look at the super chats, because we always have brilliant people and somebody's always got something to say in the super chat. So let's go. WW2 Daughter says, after every visit made by Blinken to Israel, the rate of massacres committed by Israel in Gaza increases. Sure. He's like, yes, I'm going there to say, don't, what do you say? So let's not, make the war spread. And of course, he goes there and they spread the war because the man's a liar. How about WW2 Daughter says, I heard Austin Lloyd is under the rubble in Ukraine. Well, there's a rumor. I don't know anything about it. I suspect it's not true. But there is a rumor floating around. And as long as I say this, to be responsible, I have no way to verify it. I suspect it's not true. There's all kind of rumors flying around. There's one that I'm an alien. And we know that was true. But there is a rumor floating around on the internet that Lloyd Austin doesn't really have cancer, that he was in Kiev during a missile strike and he got the business end of a Kinzhal missile and he's been brought back and he's like either dead or dying or all torn up by a Kinzhal missile, right? That's the rumor online. I don't know anything of it and I suspect it's not true. I'm just reporting that's just an unverified rumor. Dino says, thank you, Garland, for the great talks. We've all learned so much from your wisdom. Thanks, Dino. I used to know a guy named Dino the DJ, a DJ named Dino, back in my DJ days. Ivandro Pomadi says, what the hell could happen if they sink one of those carriers or a ship? That's a good question. What are you going to do? Bomb them again? You better get the rest of your carriers and ships the hell out of the way. That's the other thing. Okay, we bomb them. What happens if you get a ship sunk? What are your options? To continue to bomb them? And what's that going to do? Just retaliate by bombing? Well, you think they're going to stop firing missiles at you because you do that? That ain't happening. So you just continue to escalate? That's why it was a stupid move. But stupid people make stupid moves. Go Houthis, fight the power, says Spark. As Public Enemy said, you got to fight the powers that be. The Houthis are, I think there's a lot of people in the world looking at the Houthis saying exactly what Sparky said. There really is. There's a lot of people looking at the Houthis saying, go get them. Ozzy, thanks a lot, Ozzy. The Sparkster, Sparky says Alexander McCurris mentioned that the U.S. Navy no longer any supply ships to resupply the warships, severely limiting their ammo and time in theater. Absolutely, and they got a lot of stuff coming at them, brother. They're gonna have a lot of stuff coming at them. And what happens if something breaks off in with Hezbollah and here and now they got to fight everybody from all directions? See, that's the key. I think realistically, I think that's what the resistance is looking at. The resistance, I think, is saying, look, if you can focus on Hezbollah, you can bomb them a lot. You're going to take some hits. If you can focus on Yemen, if you can focus here, if you can focus there, we're going to make sure you can't focus anywhere. Anywhere. Always appreciate your thoughts, says Alejandro. Thank you, Alejandro. Oh, almost missed it. Cobb fan, super sticker. Thanks, Cobb fan. And that's it. Let's look on Rockfin. Oh, no, nothing on Rockfin. Somebody said, I've been retired 15 years now. Dealing with Bunker C was a full-time job. I recently spoke with an expert in marine engineering. He told me that Bunker C isn't used anymore in ship engines, even steamships. I've dealt with Bunker C my whole life at sea. Oh, interesting. They're not using Bunker C. Well, they're using one of those big old thick blobby oils. Let's see. Anything else? I think that's it, guys. This says, worst Yankee accent, Southern New Hampshire. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks a lot, you all. I don't know what else to say. That's it. I just wanted to get on and talk about that since that's what's going on. I just wanted to make sure that if somebody says, I love this chat, so many good people. Sometimes I get the feeling that a lot of people in the chat don't really come to my chat to listen to what I'm saying. I mean, I look over there and they're having discussions. They're cracking jokes. They got I look at it and there's some long running thread discussion. I'm like, those people ain't listening to me. It's a hangout spot, and we have a limited number of people. So wouldn't that make it a limited hangout? So I got my own limited hangout. What do you know about that? Who saw that coming? And I think that's it. I think, what's interesting? Isn't it interesting that just last night I did a video? Was it last night? I think it was last night. And I talked about these lunatics, the sociopaths, the fruitcakes that are running the Biden administration, right? I just finished talking about how insane these people are. And might I add, Tony Blinken is a wrinkly suit wearing bastard. I might add that. I keep Tony Blinken, but whenever I talk about him, I got to say this: where the hell do you get your suits? For God's sake, buy a suit that fits, man. I don't care. I'll pitch in. Buy a suit that fits. He's a sociopath. He's got a blank stare. He's like one of these Jeffrey Dahmer stares. I'm going to guarantee you he's eaten people before. I'm telling you right now. I don't have any information to back this up or support it, but Tony Blinken's got a look in his face that says, I have eaten human flesh. He's a Dahmer type. He's eating human flesh. And what he needs to really do is find himself a tailor because his suits look like shit. That's how I know that he's an idiot. Because he's got all that money and all that power, and he doesn't have enough brains to find a decent tailor. Buy it off the rack. I'll take you to Nordstrom. I'll point you out a nice suit. Cheap. Get one for $400 or $500. That's nothing to you. That's pennies to you. $400, $500 for the working class. For us, $400 or $500 for a suit is, that's a good bit of money. And get a suit that costs that much. You're proud. Look at this. Oh. I wore a suit that, I went to speak at the what was it? I went to speak at the United Nations, and I had on what kind of suit I had on? Banana Republic suit. And believe it or not, let me tell you, that Banana Republic suit was $300 for the pants and $300 for the jacket. But Watash here, I love Banana Republic, but I am a guy who shops sales. So let me tell you my story since we're here. What I do with Banana Republic is I got a Banana Republic card. Because oftentimes when a Banana Republic has a sale, they'll add 20% off if you use your card. So I go in there and there's the suit, 50% off. So instead of $600 for a suit, it's now $300 for a suit. But I got a Banana Republic card. So I get 20% off, which means $60 off. So I just bought a Banana Republic suit That is $600 for $240. And what did I do? I bought a couple of them. So the very suit that I wore to speak before the United Nations was a $600 Banana Republic suit, which isn't an expensive suit. Don't get me wrong, for people who spend a lot of money on suits. I'm just saying a $600 suit that I paid $240 for. So why do I say that? Because Tony Blinken could go out on sale and buy a $240 suit and look better than the crap that he wears. It doesn't even look at it. I literally saw, true story. I found it. I showed it on my channel one time. I literally saw this guy with a suit and one leg was shorter than the other. Does that tell you how screwed up he is? He's the Secretary of State and he's got on a suit and one leg is shorter than the other. Now, I don't know. Maybe one of his legs is shorter than the other. Who knows? But whatever the case may be, even then, they could, if one leg was literally shorter than the other, they could make one of the suit legs longer than the other, and they would look perfect. But not Tony Blinken. He's not smart enough to do that. No, he's too busy standing around with that Jeffrey Dahmer look on his face, sizing up his neighbors for which one he's going to put on the grill next. He's a sick bastard. All right. Thanks a lot, you all. Certainly appreciate. Oh, wait a minute. I think I might have missed the super chat. Moniker gave me a super sticker. Thank you, Moniker. Did I miss any more? How about Jerry? Thanks a lot. Gary or Jerry? I don't know. Cobb fan. We already got Cobb fan. That's it, isn't it? That's it. And check one more time. Oh, wait a minute. We got some people over here. Gloria. Oh, don't even get me started. Imigual. Thanks a lot, Gloria. Thanks a lot, all. I think I'm out. Peace. Yeah, let's see. I'm out.